Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to welcome you to the 19th annual State of the City, presented by your Greater Stockton Chamber of Commerce and the Port of Stockton. Technically, it's the 21st. It started 21 years ago as Meet Your Leaders and then became the State of the City. At this time, it gives me great pleasure, and I've served under 17 presidents, or 16, I'm sorry, because Rick Gouger was a two-time president. But each one brings a special thing to the table. And this young man coming up here is our president this year until the end of June. He's done an outstanding job, not only in the community and leading the chamber, but really has embraced the staff as the whole thing that really makes the chamber work, plus the membership. Our president, Bacco Patel from Northern Pacific. Bacco?
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome, and thank you for being here. At this time, if I could get everybody to stand and while I introduce an invocation from Pastor Trainer Turner, Victory and Praise Church, Stockton Executive Director of Faith in the Valley.
Good afternoon. And while you're standing, if you would just bow your heads with me while we pray. Dear wise and loving Father, God, we love you and we thank you. Thank you on behalf of all of us who are gathered here today. God, we thank you for your many abundant blessings. We thank you for life itself. We thank you for the measure of health that we need to fulfill our callings and for sustenance and for friendship. Stockton truly is our home. God, we thank you for the ability to be involved in useful work here in our city. And we thank you for the honor of bearing appropriate responsibilities. Thank you, God, as well as for the freedom to embrace you or the freedom to reject you. We thank you. Thank you for loving us even so from your boundless and gracious nature. In the scriptures you have said, citizens ought to obey the governing authorities. And since you have established those very authorities to promote peace and order and justice, I pray for our Mayor Michael Tubbs. God, I thank you for him. And we pray also for the various levels of city officials. And in particular, I pray for these assembled here today. I'm asking for every one of those at each department level that you would graciously grant them wisdom to govern amid the conflicting interests and issues of our times. I ask for a sense of the welfare and the true needs of our people. Give them a keen thirst for justice and righteousness, confidence in what is good and fitting for this community, the ability to work together in harmony even when there is honest disagreement. God, we ask for personal peace in their lives, protection, and even joy in the tasks that they fulfill. I pray for the agenda that we have before us today for this state of the city. God, thank you, Lord. I pray that you give an assurance of what would please you and that you would benefit those who live and work in and around our beloved city of Stockton. Now, God, by the many names we call you, I call you Jesus. We ask these things in your name. Amen.
Please remain standing for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we've watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner
Wow, you may be seated. That was amazing. I don't know, because I was standing right next to her. It was amazing. It was worth the ticket. Michael Tubbs, you've got some competition now. I would like to start the program by thanking our very much appreciated sponsors that are listed on the screen and in your programs today. Without them, this event would not happen, and I would like to thank all of them. Additionally, we have a lot of chamber members here. Please raise your hand if you or your company are members of the chamber. Thank you. We appreciate your sponsorship and your dedication to the chamber, and from the chamber staff and the board of directors, thank you. Also, a big thanks to Tim Quinn and Daniel Zoller for putting on this event. There's a lot of work and time and effort that goes on to this, so please give them a thank. I would also like to thank our host, the Port of Stockton. For a number of years, they've been great hosts and great event. And thank you to the Port of Stockton Director and past Chamber President, Richard Asheris. Thank you, Richard. We have a number of Port of Stockton Board of Commissioners that I'd like to recognize. Please stand when I call your name. Chair Elizabeth Blanchard. Vice Chairman Michael Patrick Duffy. Commissioner Sylvester Alligar. Commissioner R.J. Allen. Commissioner Gary Christopherson. Commissioner Stephen Griffin. And Commissioner Victor Mao. Again, thank you to the Port of Stockton. At this time, I would like to introduce and bring on stage the Port Commissioner, Chairwoman Dr. Elizabeth Blanchard, who will give her port address.
Thank you, Doug. An honorable city and county officials, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Port of Stockton. We're delighted you're here, and our port is more than 84 years old, so some of us remember some of the things that went on in the port. And the Port of Stockton workers have been handling imports and exports carried by ships coming from all over the world. I'm pleased to report that the Port of Stockton enjoyed another outstanding year in 2016 with a total tonnage that's valued at $1.5 billion, that's with a B, of dollars. I'm equally pleased to report to you that this is your port as much as everybody else who owns the port here, that 2,000 acres of the facility is another strong financial encouragement for jobs and for income. So that the port has about 5 million square feet of warehousing. 93% of them have been leased to a total of 138 tenants. And when these tenants come into town, they bring money and provide jobs. So everything from handling these tenants, milk, powder milk, steel, sinks, fertilizer, variety of agricultural goods. And today, the port does business with 55 countries. As you can see, all the flags that are hanging above you, those are the countries we're doing business with. And you know, we cannot be successful without a good team of workers at our port. We have an outstanding director, and I would like for you to give an applause to all the workers of the Port of Stockton. Would you all stand up? Thank you. We have over 100 staff members, and they're all busy. They work as a good team, and that's what makes the port. You know, there's an old saying, a house is just a house, but it becomes a home because of people. The same thing with the port. The port is just a port until the people, our workers, make the port a successful enterprise in our community. The port's marketing and real estate staff continue to coordinate with existing businesses, and they're reaching out daily on potential tenants and shippers to bring even more jobs to Stockton and San Joaquin County. The efforts of these port workers have resulted in the port generating 5,500 jobs and $220 million of annual salaries and benefits. The future of our port is bright. We are now developing plans to build a bridge to Rough and Ready Island. We're widening Navy Drive. As some of you came through Navy Drive, you can see the development. We're rehabilitating old railroad tracks, and dredging is important. We got to keep our channel competitive, and the depth has a lot to do with it. And we're creating infrastructure that makes the port a vibrant part of the economic foundation of the San Joaquin Valley. The port's economic activity contributed more than $5 million in tax revenue for the city and the San Joaquin County. And the best news is we accomplished all of this without taxing one penny of Stocktonian citizen. We don't tax. Okay. Our port also remains committed to identifying environmental projects that go beyond regularly required of the environmental acts. And we enhance the quality of the life of people in the greater San Joaquin region. For instance, and this is interesting because I visited them, the port is helping to restore sand dunes, recreating habitat for endangered butterflies and plants. And some people said, butterflies? What's the port doing with butterflies? Well, we had to help Antioch out, and they reached out to us, and we were able to use all the dredged material to replant plants for them. We also, and maybe some of you have seen it, provide a non-toxic way to control the mice and the rat population, which could undermine levees, as you know, in our region, and ruin agricultural goods, and perhaps have flooding issues. These owls are wonderful. You can see them on the screen there, and they have families now. We build houses for them, and they come back every year. While the port's primary focus is creating and maintaining jobs for the Stockton and the San Joaquin County, we also support a number of organizations working diligently to improve our community. These include, but not limited to, the San Joaquin Women's Center, Delta Scholars, the United Way of San Joaquin County, various chambers of the commerce in our community, March of Dimes, Emergency Food Bank, Shelter for the Homeless, the Stockton Symphony, Delta College, UOP, and the Child Abuse Center. We continue to bring new businesses in, and we continue to offer the community all experiences on the port. And we invite you to come and see our port. We offer free boat rides every summer. And you also can update our port activities. In fact, our director, where's Richard Aceras? Right over there. Give him a big hand. He has initiated many kinds of community outreach so that the community benefits from the profits of what port brings in. And updates on port activities are very available through the website at www.portofstockton.com and the social media. So please come, we welcome you, And all you have to do is call the port director, and he'll arrange for you for a boat ride. And Victoria arranged those. Where's Victoria? Stand up, Victoria. Raise your hand. Anyway, she makes arrangements for boat rides. So please come visit us, and thank you for your support.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Dr. Blanchard, and thank you again to the Port of Stockton for making this event a success. And now for the main reason we are here today, to hear from the Mayor of Stockton. So without further ado, please welcome the Mayor of the great city of Stockton, Michael Tubbs.
Thank you so much to the port, to the chamber, to our sponsors, but more importantly, thank you to you all. I'm under no illusions. I know we're here to hear a speech, but we're not here for a person, we're here for a city. A city that's had its hardships, has had its struggles, but a city full of promise and potential. And that's why today I'm so honored and so proud to stand before you as the mayor of that city, the city of Stockton, California. The city that is also my home. I want to thank our city staff, our city manager, our department heads. Would you mind, I know you guys don't want to, but would you mind please standing up because you guys work so hard for our city and you guys deserve to be recognized. And I also want to thank the council. So could the city council please stand up? We have elected teachers and principals and social workers and community organizers and the port commissioners. You guys got a lot of love, so I'm not going to ask you to stand, but I want to say thank you for your service. And to all our other elected officials, I know we have county supervisors and school board members here. Thank you, because again, it's not just the mayor, it's not just the city of Stockton that has to do the work to make Stockton reach its full potential. But it's everyone. It's the county, it's the school board, it's the private sector working in unison to move Stockton towards a brighter future. In the last 100+ days, I've been so honored to really see the best of what Stockton has to offer. Together, we faced our challenges, we fought through adversity, we never gave up, and we showed the toughness that is Stockton. So again, thank you to the citizens and the workers, everyone that stood with us through good and bad times. Thank you for your hard work. Thank you for believing in Stockton as it is, and Stockton for what it will be. I stand before you as a mayor proud of the leaders in this community who have doubled down on making their stake in Stockton. I stand before you proud of our community organizers and community organizations that are fighting every day and delivering services to create better, safer neighborhoods. I'm proud of parents and students, especially those in the South Stockton Schools Initiative that have been working very closely with our school district, Stockton Unified, to improve educational outcomes. And again, I'm proud of my colleagues on the City Council who have rolled up their sleeves and have worked hard over the last 4 months to begin the process of revitalizing and reinventing our great hometown of Stockton. And I'm also proud of the residents who believe, as I do, that our best days are truly ahead and have continually voted to fund our values. It's one thing to say we care about public safety. It's one thing to say we care about our children. It's one thing to say we care about libraries and parks, but it's another thing to vote to pay for it. So again, thank you to the residents of Stockton for agreeing to tax yourself to provide opportunities for our community. Thank you. And I stand before you today happy because we are not the city we were yesterday. We are a city that's been strengthened by our adversity. We're financially stronger after bankruptcy and years wiser. We have learned from our experiences and our missteps. And today, for those reasons, we are better off. Never again will we fall prey to false hopes and slick presentations offering simple solutions to complex problems. We will deal with the reality of the situation and make smart, strategic investments for our people today. And over the next few years leading into the year 2020, we have the opportunity to finally turn the page away from a narrative rooted in financial despair and budget cuts, and move towards a narrative of opportunity, of solutions, of results. Today, we now have a budget reserve of over $31 million, money saved in case of economic downturn. Clap for that, that's a lot of money. And as we approach the end of my term as mayor, the year 2020 will be upon us. And between now and 2020, we can build on this foundation that we've started. We can redefine and reinvent the image of our city, and to guide our destination, we have to work collectively to reinvent Stockton with perfect 2020 vision. And the vision is simple: to create a safe community with opportunity for everyone. As you know, many people try to define Stockton based on our old reputation, but that doesn't fit the Stockton we see today. We made it through the worst housing crisis in our country's history, bouncing back from being the foreclosure capital of the nation. At one time, we were the largest city ever to file municipal bankruptcy, and Forbes even had the audacity to call us the most miserable city in this country. But miserable is not the Stockton we all know. We are a city of new and expanding opportunities, a city of new and exciting partnerships with our school district, with our universities, with our business community, and with our county government. We're a city where you don't have to leave to follow your dreams. We are a city made up of residents like you and me. We're a city where a poor kid from South Stockton can one day grow up and become mayor. And the Stockton I see today, again, is a city full of promise and potential. Just 2 weeks ago, I was proud to partner with the Stockton Unified School District and host our first ever annual college signing days for high school seniors. And as I looked, And as I looked into the eyes of the high school students, I was reminded that I was just me 10 years ago. I remember growing up in Stockton, and when I got my college acceptance letter, I was leaving with no intention of coming back. Growing up in Stockton's hot zones with a single mother, the goal, the motivation, and the narrative was to be successful, I had to leave and escape Stockton. And luckily, I was able to make it out. Thanks to parks and recreation programs and basketball leagues at Stripley Gym and the Maya Angelou Library and community mentors and the love and discipline of my mom, aunt, and grandmother, two of whom are sitting with us today. But the students from signing... But the students at signing day were different. They had their fancy college letters and were so excited, but they said something that stuck with me. They talked about wanting to get educated, not to leave, but to come back to Stockton. They didn't view success as leaving our community and not coming back. They said they were getting educated to come back and be part of the process of making our city great. And I think it's our job, over the next 4 years when they graduate college, to give them a community worth coming back to. Today, Roger Phillips on Facebook cracked a joke that I didn't find as funny. And he said, how many times will the mayor use the phrase reinvent Stockton in his State of the City address? And Roger, the answer is several. As my passion and vision for Stockton is guided by that simple phrase, reinvent Stockton. It's an idea that I believe deeply in my core. And the roots of this idea of reinvent Stockton could be found in my 4 years as a council member representing District 6. Today, a major store chain is looking to open a new facility at the former site of the new Grand Save Market in South Stockton. This would not have been possible had the community and the city not reinvented our approach towards high crime and poverty that has plagued this area for generations. Now, this corner store was an eyesore for the community. Dealers sold drugs in the parking lot, and neighbors called the cops an average of once a day. The newspaper actually referred to this store, and I quote, as a filthy alcohol and junk food market. Yelp reviews said, just drive past. The local community stayed hidden behind locked doors and closed fences, afraid to go outside. The neighborhoods and the parks were overtaken by drug dealers and gang members, and it took a lot of hard work. But collectively, with the city's attorney's office, the police department, with community members and elected officials, we were able to make some progress. We closed permanently the doors of the liquor store and now have opened the doors of neighborhood and community. Now the community is not perfect, but it's absolutely changing for the better. Now, thanks to Vice Chair Duffy, there's a credit union in the district. There's a park full of kids playing thanks to the efforts of Jasmine Delafosse of Reinvent South Stockton, and thanks to the effort of community medical clinics, the Community Partnership for Families, and Hector Laura, there's a health clinic. In 4 years, that's what we mean when we say Reinvent Stockton. We're saying that we have real challenges. We have real issues. And these challenges and issues are too big for one person, one agency, and one entity to fight alone. And that's just one example of the changes that can take place when we are dedicated to making change, when we shed old attitudes and find new ways. This is what I mean, Roger, when I say Reinvent Stockton. And now we have the opportunity to build on this concept for our entire city. And I would say the best place to start this new attitude, this new way of approaching old problems, is in the mayor's office. And as your mayor, I promise I will work tirelessly to make you proud of City Hall. I will see to it that we are transparent, responsive, and open to the needs of all our constituents. And thanks again to the voters, we now have a mayor's office with some staffing, with the flexibility to respond to the challenges that a city of more than 315,000 residents poses. And in this office, we already have funded full fellowship partnerships with universities like Stanford University, Princeton University, University of Chicago, and the University of the Pacific to bring smart, talented college grads to Stockton to work with us on some of our issues. And everywhere I go, I'm representing Stockton, from our local media to the Bay Area, even all the way in New York. I'm working hard to bring attention, resources, philanthropic dollars to the city. I'm working hard to change the narrative of our community. And I was proud this last April to be listed among 14 leaders from across the country as part of this New Deal leadership. I think it's a big deal for the community because of the 14 leaders, only 3 are from California, and 1 is the mayor of small but mighty Stockton, California. And it's through raising awareness of our city and talking about the things we're doing right, in addition to the things that we're doing wrong, that's how we move this community forward. That's what gives me confidence in the state of our city today. But I'm under no illusions, and I also understand that I cannot reinvent Stockton alone, and that's where I turn attention to my council. I'm proud to serve with my council colleagues. As I said, they've rolled up their sleeves and have worked hard to do the work necessary to move the community forward. In January, we heard calls from immigrants and from Muslim brothers and sisters who were terrified about what was happening. And I brought forth a resolution to the council affirming our commitment to human rights. Our police department courageously talked about our policy to not stop, detain, or question anyone solely based on immigration status. And the council voted unanimously, 7-0, to affirm those values in a resolution. With community feedback, we did a hard task with our general plan. We heard you, we heard the feedback, we went to the meetings, and we understood that the community wanted us to build, but to make sure we don't forget about existing neighborhoods in our downtown. And I'm proud that the council, with a 6-1 vote, voted for a general plan scenario that honors your wishes, honors your concerns. It shows that government's not perfect, but we are listening, and we are trying, and we are responsive to the needs of our constituents. Just last month, or just a couple weeks ago, we heard from homeless providers that it was hard to get people to take vouchers. So we brought before the council a housing mitigation fund. And again, this council voted 7-0 to allocate general fund dollars to help provide a security blanket for landlords so they rent to folks who happen to be in shelter or homeless. Again, your council did that, and they deserve a round of applause. And with all that in 5 months, yet we still have a lot of work ahead. And upcoming, we have budget workshops that we invite you all to attend to and speak to how do we translate our values and our priorities in our budget. And being prudent with finances since the bankruptcy has paid off. Stockton is now ranked one of the top 20 cities in this nation in terms of fiscal solvency. Let me say that again. The once bankrupt city of Stockton is now ranked number 16 in this nation and 6th of large cities over 300,000 people in this nation, not according to Mayor Tubbs, but according to the Financial Times. as the 6th most healthy large city in terms of our fiscal situation. And after cuts and setbacks, we now have the opportunity to restore and improve some of our services. However, and I know exactly which crowd I'm speaking to here today, I will just say publicly again, there's something I won't say yes to, and that's to continuing to subsidize golf at our public golf courses at the tune of $700,000 a year. And I'm gonna tell you why. I love golf. My dream when I was a child was to be Tiger Woods. But the issue is this. In a city with many needs, with many competing interests, in a city where 2 years ago we weren't able to open the library because it cost $500 million a year without an ongoing revenue source, in a city of 315,000 people where only 2,854 Stocktonians take advantage of the 2 public golf courses we operate, in a city with a bunch of golf courses that are actually better than the ones we subsidize, I can't live, or it's unconscionable for me to continue that subsidy. And just this past Tuesday, we heard from advocates that Stockton needs more affordable housing. So this year I plan to bring before the council for discussion a proposal to repurpose those golf funds to establish something like a housing trust, like 400 cities around this nation have already done, to incentivize and make market-rate affordable projects pencil out. And again, given our financial situation, we can't always depend on taxes and new funds to fund program and services. But I do believe we can look at existing general fund subsidies and commitments and ensure that they align with our shared values and our priorities as a community. And as we look towards 2020, we have the ability to lay the foundation for a California State University Stockton. I want to thank Assemblymember Susan Eggman and my colleagues as part of the CSU Leadership Coalition for serving as a catalyst for this vision of a CSU Stockton. A campus here in Stockton would bring thousands of jobs and add millions of dollars to our economy. And in a community where less than 20% of our residents hold a college degree, a CSU would open doors of opportunities to our residents and aid in our renaissance. But let's also make sure we reinvent economic opportunities so that when students graduate from CSU Stockton, they stay here. We have to expand the job opportunities because each day, an average of 10,000 drivers commute for work from San Joaquin County to Sacramento, and even more travel to the Bay Area, approximately 64,000 cars daily. And by creating more economic opportunities right here at home, we can also improve air quality and the quality of life for our residents. Our economy is growing, and our city is recovering from the challenges of the past, but we must also continue to act to support our small businesses and ensure that the private sector is generating jobs and services to produce the tax revenue that government relies on. We don't generate the tax revenue. That comes from the private sector. So in order to grow city funds and services and answer all these needs, we have to make sure that we continue to work on creating a business-friendly climate. We also must capitalize on our strengths, build on our assets, and continue to position ourselves as a city that's open for business. We sit at the nexus of major freeways, train tracks, a growing airport, and where we are now, California's largest inland port. The Port of Stockton is a major hub that puts 5,500 people to work. And as we look into the future, we have the exciting opportunity to continue to establish the port as a hub. Our port is ideally positioned. We are located at an important crossroads for a fiber network that carries data in and out of San Francisco to Silicon Valley. These data centers are vital for billions of everyday users. People rely on data centers every single day for secure access to information, and having a center in Stockton puts the city on a path to becoming an integral part of a broader economic network that is the Silicon Valley. Stockton is in a prime position to leverage its digital infrastructure and grow our economy. And in doing so, we can create new economic opportunity for skilled jobs for our community, serve the growing data center needs of our states, the nation, and world, and lead the way in transformative, environmentally friendly innovation. And as we build on business opportunities at our port, let's also continue our focus on the downtown area. When we started the process of reviewing the general plan, We heard from community, and they overwhelmingly want us to continue to build on what we have now, to color inside the lines, if you will. The design and layout of our downtown is primed for the development of mixed-use buildings, parks, and commercial construction. And looking towards 2020, we want a downtown that is environmentally sustainable, a place where millennials like me want to call home, and where more of our citizens can either bike or walk to work or take public transportation. And if we commit ourselves to these values, we will open our city up to potential millions of dollars in cap and trade revenue provided by the state. And one shining example of that is our regional transit district. RTD has introduced Northern California's first battery electric buses into service right here in Stockton. They've drawn down millions in federal and state dollars to grow the BRT routes in Stockton, focusing on downtown and the south part of the city. They've also extended service improvements and developed partnerships with Uber and Lyft. But that's not all. The RTD, right here in Stockton, is growing an electric bus fleet, which we'll be highlighting at an upcoming federal convening here in Stockton. And we will also help roll out the first all-electric BRT route in the nation. I'm going to say that again. In Stockton, we're rolling out the first all-electric bus transit route in the nation. Which will bring transportation, clean air, and $7 million in cap and trade revenue to Stockton. And that's exactly what we have to do. And we have to become a city and a community that takes advantage of every possible program. Too often, we were overlooked for grants in the past or never even applied for services and programs that our city can desperately use. With an array of restaurants and nightlife options springing up, in addition to the BRT changes, our downtown is transforming right before our eyes into the vibrant urban core that a city of our size deserves. And there's much more coming thanks to the work of our economic development department and developers like TenSpace. The Open Windows Project, which is planning to bring hundreds of people, new people to live in downtown Stockton. I've seen the progress that's been made since my time as council member now, and I know they're working really hard behind the scenes, putting the pieces together to break ground by the end of this year. To further help with development, the city is also doing our part. We've issued an RFI for the development of city-owned downtown waterfront properties, and the RFQ will be due out in late May to June. Your council, again, approved a new non-residential PFF and mitigation fee short-term deferral program in January for new construction projects. Since approval, 4 applications have already been received, totaling close to 2 million square feet in new industrial development. So yes, downtown Stockton is important. Yes, downtown Stockton is a priority, but we also have to continue our focus on existing neighborhoods and think of creative ways to use our vacant and blighted lands. So starting this summer, my office will partner with the local government commission to create corridor plans focused on development strategies for East Main Street and for Airport Way. We'll also continue exploring looking at enhanced infrastructure financing districts and community revitalization investment authorities as tools to help us improve blighted neighborhoods and provide funding for new projects, affordable housing, and other improvements. Additionally, through our general plan, we now have the opportunity to use creative things like flexible zoning and overlay zones to create innovation districts. And these districts will encourage new targeted development projects in downtown and also in some of our hot zone neighborhoods. Furthermore, this year I joined the board of the Central Valley New Market Tax Credits in an effort to steer capital to projects in Stockton. To that end, Councilmember Andrade hosted a meeting with local developers and banks to learn more about the program, and I'm excited about the myriad of ways in which our city can now utilize these funds. I also think in this next year we have a great opportunity to think creatively about what does the legalization of cannabis mean for our community. I'm not a proponent of a dispensary at every corner, but I do think manufacturing, testing, and distribution could be huge economic engines for our community and provide much needed jobs. I'm also happy to announce that in collaboration with the California Small Business Association, I'll be launching a series of small business roundtables featuring small businesses from every district in the city. Our inaugural roundtable, which will be next month, will make sure that our city is responsive and proactive in helping support the backbone of our local economy, small businesses. Giving you guys a break, I know that was a lot. And as we press for more jobs, we also have to make sure we have a workforce ready for those jobs. And in 2012, according to the Brookings Institute, the city of Stockton was ranked 95th of the top 100 metropolitan areas in this country in terms of skills gap, in terms of workforce preparedness, or what they term the skills gap. And addressing this skills gap will be crucial to lowering our unemployment rate, to attracting new employers, and to increasing the quality of life for Stockton residents. And that's why today, I'm excited to announce that I've been collaborating with a private funder, with Valley Vision, and with the University of the Pacific to develop a workforce development action plan that specifically looks at the workforce supply and demand in Stockton and in the northern San Joaquin Valley. This plan will ensure that our workforce strategies are in line with existing and with future opportunities. This work is now underway, and I look forward to reporting our findings and next steps as early as November, but more likely early next year. We will be, yeah, that's something to clap about, that's a good thing, yeah. We will be taking a look at all the studies done about our changing workforce and employer needs, and then highlight a few core strategies that can close the gap between good-paying jobs and the local residents who need them. We will also focus on our competitive advantages here in Stockton and do our best to work with the partnership and the business council and our economic development department to better align employers and our partners to the education and government to make sure all our citizens in Stockton, but especially the children in our schools, especially those who may not want to go to college, graduate workforce and career ready. As the county seat and the 13th largest city in the state, we also have to focus on making Stockton a regional leader. Towards that end, I'm excited to announce that with the Sierra Health Foundation, we'll be partnering to convene a San Joaquin Valley Regional Leaders Conference right here in the city of Stockton. We'll be inviting policymakers and elected officials from Bakersfield to Salinas to Fresno to Modesto to Stockton to talk about the shared challenges we have in this region and how do we build an agenda. And a big part of this discussion will hopefully shape the gubernatorial debate that's supposed to happen here in Stockton next year. Over the past few months, I've been tweeting and emailing and texting and calling all the leading gubernatorial candidates, and I've gotten them to agree to come to Stockton and have a debate. And I think that's important because as Stockton goes, not just the valley goes, but the state goes. So we'll have all the governor candidates in Stockton debating our issues and speaking towards what can they do to partner with us as we seek to reinvent our city and reach our full potential. And one of those issues that the candidates will have to address is public safety. So far in 2007, though, however, there's good news in Stockton. Our crime rate has continued to drop, with property crimes down 7%, violent crime down 8%, and overall crime down 7%, all lower this year than compared to this time last year. And that's not to say we've arrived, but it is to say that we're moving. That I know far too often people still don't feel safe, that people still feel like we're not doing anything about crime, but the data says we're trending in the right direction. And as we further buckle down and focus on our strategies, we can expect to see even more reductions in our crime rate. And in our violent crime rate as well. Speaking with our police chief and with the Office of Violence Prevention, it's come to my attention that less than 0.1% of the population, about 0.01% of the 315,000 people that call our city home, drive 70 to 80% of our violent crime rate. And to make things better in this city, we have to figure out what is it we can do to help those caught in cycles of poverty and violence and crime transition out. And I know some of you out there are asking why. Why spend any time or any tax dollars on these folks? I know some people say, Mayor Tubbs, I don't think it's worth it. But the truth is, we will pay either way. And the cost of trauma and of violence is a much greater cost than job training and opportunity. And that's the strategy we need to ensure that our city is safe. And I know this approach can work because today we have proof amongst us. A success story. An individual who once was in that less than 1%, who faced many of the same challenges that many of our residents face living in Stockton. But one day, he decided to turn his life around. He didn't do it by himself. He had help, he had support, he had opportunity. But because of those choices, now he has a job and is taking care of responsibilities. He's a productive citizen. And it's all because the community, us, the city of Stockton, gave him an opportunity instead of prison. James decided to find a path away from gangs and destruction. Through help and mentors from the Peacekeepers program and through our friends in the unions, James was able to learn a trade. And instead of joining a gang, James decided to join a labor union. And starting a new life wasn't easy. There were times he wanted to quit, but he stuck with it. James was assisted by our Office of Vice Prevention, and an employer gave James a chance. And now he is proud to every day wake up and make an honest living. James has been employed for a year. In fact, we had to call James' boss to allow him to sit with us today at the State of the City. And during this past year, he has been discharged from both probation and parole. And one of James's goals is to help his brothers in 6 to 10 years when they're released back into our community from prison and to show them a better life. Yes, life still has its challenges, but I'm excited and motivated by James's positive input and his big heart. And I'm also proud to be the mayor of a city of second chances. And with the support of individuals and employers, we can give more individuals like James a better shot at life. I promised him I wouldn't make him stand or point him out today, but I do want to take a moment just to give a round of applause to my friend James. And additionally, starting this year, the city's attorney's office has begun working together with the police department, neighborhood services division, to strategize about the creation of a program that would shut down some of our worst properties in Stockton. The nickname for this program is STOP, Stockton's Top Offending Properties. And this strategy is a good one. It allows us to use our limited resources in a focused way, not on everyone, but on the 10 worst. And in doing so, we'll continue to close down markets like New Grand Save Market, and we also can serve a notice to the slumlords in our community that today is a new day in the city of Stockton. This year, your council has also made their top priority to focus on the hot zone areas of our city. In practically every council district, there's an area with higher crime and higher unemployment than other parts of the city. And instead of simply complaining about these areas, we're doing something about them. We've been working with the Stockton Police Department Blitz team and community partners to begin to develop solutions, collaborative, collective impact approaches based on the work we did in South Stockton with the Reinvent South Stockton Coalition. We have begun working in the Cal Park Magnolia effort, and as part of our South Stockton Promise Zone, this group called Healing South Stockton has authorized funding to begin this work in the Cal Park area. This funding will cover 2 full-time outreach neighborhood trust builders in these hot zone areas to focus on building relationships with those in those areas so that we're able to deliver solutions that actually work. So thank you to Healing South Stockton and the South Stockton Promise Zone team. Additionally, there are other efforts in the city at addressing these hot zone areas. I've met with residents of the Kentfield community, with Councilmember Lenz and Vice Mayor Holman, and we have begun working on addressing their needs. Councilmember Wright has been hosting meetings on Acapulco Way and in Kelly Drive, doing all he can to focus on that part of his district that has some issues. And furthermore, we have continued the work we started with the South Stockton Promise Zone. On my first day in office, we hosted the regional administrator from HUD. On May 24th, we are now bringing a total of 7 federal agencies to Stockton, many of whom for the first time, in its first of a kind federal convening, where they'll sit with us for a day and tell us how the federal government can help us in our quest to help our community reach its full potential. And on the subject of public safety, I also have to say I'm incredibly proud of the work of Chief Jones and our entire police department. Our police department is not just policing, but they're building relationships. Our police department is looked upon as a nation, as a leader, as to how do you rebuild and regain trust with communities. Understanding it's not going to happen overnight, understanding it's not going to be without conflict, but understanding that only with real dialogue and a real eye towards solutions is change possible. I sit with many of these officers in these community meetings, and I marvel at the way in which they listen, and the way in which they challenge, and the way in which they're striving to police in a different way that's going to lead to better outcomes for us and our city. Ours is a police force that's working to bridge the gap between the police and the community. And most recently, our police chief held over 20 listening sessions conducted with community members to begin the process of reconciliation and trust building. That's not easy work, it's hard work, but it's important work, and I'm proud we're not scared to do it. And I'm also very proud to announce that today, in your city of Stockton, we have hired 40 police officers this calendar year, taking our ranks all the way up to 443 officers, an all-time staffing high for your city. So again, thank you so much to the community, to the voters for approving Measure A and B, and to the Measure A and B campaign community. There's been a lot of talk about how young I am. So as a young mayor, I will continually focus on Stockton's youth, especially as we look towards the year 2020. In the early months of this year, the City Council announced that we were going to allocate $100,000 for summer youth jobs. And I said it was my goal to double this amount. And when I say something, I mean it. So I'm proud to announce today that we have met this commitment, as I've been able to secure matching funds of an additional $100,000 to Goodwill from the Daniel Foundation to double our summer youth jobs in the city this summer. And again, speaking about the voters, because of you all, we now have Measure M, which will provide up to $188 million over the next 16 years. And because of that, we've already begun to restore services. We reopened the most famous library in California, if not this nation, Fair Oaks Library recently. We were just at a park dedication last week, and as the summer approaches and the years go on, we'll continue to add to our existing services and also use this opportunity to think differently about how to provide parks and recreation services to our community. We've been experimenting with ideas like community library hybrids. We're able to educate children, give them places to play, and I'm looking forward to the work our Parks and Rec Department, the Measure M Committee, and the community will do with this new funds. I don't know if you guys have been to the Fair Oaks Library yet. Make sure you visit it. We've talked a lot about it. I want everyone in here, go to Fair Oaks Library. Because when you go there, you'll be surprised. You'll see a library with state-of-the-art internet. You'll see a library with a makerspace. You'll see a library with a 3D printer. I still don't know what they do, but it's a 3D printer. And just recently, the council also allocated money to pay to make our internet 1,000 times faster in all our libraries. And I know some of you in the audience were there, but a couple months ago, we had a community meeting on a Saturday to really listen to the community and get a feel for what are some of the needs. How can we leverage these funds? How do we use these funds to make a real difference in our community? And one big thing that has come up a lot is soccer. Apparently, Stockton is a soccer town. I was just at Franklin High School 2 weeks ago, and they said, Mayor Tubbs, we need more goalposts. We need more soccer fields. So I'm happy to say that we've begun talking with the U.S. Soccer Federation, a national organization, with the hopes that they can work with us to change some of our blighted lands into soccer fields in which our kids can play and learn and grow and have healthy activities. We again, you don't get $188 million every day. So we have a unique, special and great opportunity to think deeply, strategically, and smartly about how do we best use these funds to create more opportunity for our youth, but also to make a safer community. So, John, we're looking forward to the plan you and your team put forward. No pressure. And now, as I prepare to close, the topic top of mind for everyone, homelessness. On Tuesday, this council and your board of supervisors met for hours. Was it 3, 4, 5 hours? I see you, Monica, about the issue of homelessness. On any given night, as you know, there are at least 300 people in our city who are homeless. And the county 2 years ago formed the Homelessness Task Force, which created guiding principles that have been adopted by both the county and the city. But most recently, again, your council allocated $50,000 to a mitigation fund to move more individuals with housing vouchers into permanent supportive housing units. But according to Councilmember Loftus, who works at New Directions, and works with some of the population every day, that is not enough. We have to do more to provide the wraparound services and the wraparound care folks need to transition from lives of addiction and mental health into being contributing members of our societies. And based on our meeting with the Board of Supervisors, Bill Mendelson said something that stuck with me. And we asked him, we said, Bill, there's a lot of homeless people, it's a huge problem. What can we do with what we have to make a difference? And Bill's profound. He said something, it was a longer speech, but he said something very simple that I gathered. He said that we could just build 100 units, 100 units, 100 affordable units that are in the price range for folks who may have vouchers or who are homeless, that would make a huge difference in our community. And that's why today I'm challenging this community, my colleagues on council, the Board of Supervisors, staff, and you all, to figure out what do we have to do to create those 100 units. And to that end, we'll also be establishing an affordable housing task force to look at some of the issues and needs, as I've been hearing from people who are saying, as an old guy said a couple years ago, the rent is just too high. Additionally, we've been looking at other models in other cities about how do we help our homeless individuals stop being deficits and become assets. And there's models in communities throughout this nation, including one in Albuquerque, where the city government worked with a private nonprofit to develop a job training program. Maybe Ready for Work, maybe St. Mary's Dining Hall, maybe we have it here in this community to really figure out what can we do for those who are homeless, who want to work, with the resources we have to put them on the path to sustainability. So hopefully those two proposals we're working on, and we'll have a rigorous debate and discussion about those in the coming months and years. And the issue of homelessness is one that we'll be discussing this year, and next year, and next year, and next year. So I want to tell the community that it's a long road, but don't give up hope, that we are doing something, that government can't do everything. That's not an excuse, for government to do nothing. So please read, please get involved, please work with the shelters, work with the people who are already working with the homeless population because they have the answers. Giving out tents is not the solution. Just feeding right by the shelter, which already provides food, is not the solution. But in talking to our community-based organizations and encouraging people to move from tents to shelter will actually make a dent in the homeless issue in this community and be a model as a housing-first county, with the city and county working hand in hand to make that happen. So I know that was a lot. These initiatives I've laid out are ambitious, but I would not have put forth these proposals, I would not have mentioned them publicly if I didn't believe we had everything we need right in this room and in the city to make them happen. And there's a young man who's in the audience with us today. That's an example of why I have so much faith in our community. Back in 2015, there was a terrible car accident on Main Street in Wilson Way. A mother and her 2 young children, one 3 and one just 4 months, were pinned in a car due to a car wreck. Smoke started to build from the wrecked vehicle, and suddenly, this routine accident became a life and death moment. But Mr. Humberto Sanchez ran outside from his family's business and jumped into action. He safely pulled out the mother. Next, he pulled out the 3-year-old. Smoke started to build even more. Suddenly, flames engulfed the whole vehicle. Standing between Humberto and the 4-month-old baby was hot metal and roaring flames. You see, the last child was harder to get out the car because he was strapped into his car seat, and pulling him out was not as easy as the others. Humberto could have gave up. He could have said, I don't have the resources. He could have said, it's not my job. But instead, Humberto sprung to action. He continued to fight to free this child, and he was able to pull the child out before the flames completely engulfed the SUV. And Humberto sacrificed. He was burned all over his body, but that baby and that family were saved. They are doing well now, and Mr. Humberto Sanchez is here with us. His act of heroism has been acknowledged nationally by the Carnegie Foundation. He is one of 20 in the nation to be so honored for his bravery right here in Stockton. So for his act of bravery, he will receive the prestigious Carnegie Medal. And this afternoon, come up here, Humberto. And this afternoon, I also want to present him with the key to the city. And if you look at Humberto, he's no different than the rest of us. And in fact, I would argue he represents the best of us, is instructive about the hard work we're going to have to do to make these visions, these plans, and these proposals a reality. But Stockton, I know you. I grew up here. I'm confident that we can take our problems head on. I'm confident that we can face obstacles, and just like the mother and her children trapped in that SUV, there are thousands and thousands and thousands of our neighbors who are also trapped in cycles of poverty or violence or nihilism. And it's up to each and every one of us to act like Humberto and jump up and act. In January, during our swearing-in ceremony, I reminded the crowd how vital community support and hard work would be to accomplish our goal of reinventing our community. And I'm happy to say that many have heard the call and have gotten directly involved in improving our city, but the work continues. We saw the seeds of engagement on that cold January night with over 800 people in attendance. And on that night, I felt the pride that only people who really have lived here and are from here can feel. The crowd that night was like the crowd today, 5 months later, a diverse crowd. Teachers and students, young and not so young, nationalities, all from all over the world, all united around this idea that today can be better, that the city is turning the page, and that we each have a role to play in crafting this new narrative. And every day in City Hall, I know myself, the staff, the council, we think of that. We know the enormity of the challenges ahead to us, but we also know that we will continue to work towards success as a city. But Stockton, I need you. I need you to show up and roll up your sleeves and get your hands dirty and do your research and all work together to improve our community. And to that end, I invite everyone on June 7th to a community forum we'll be having to continue this conversation about how do we make this vision for a community of opportunity, a community of second chances, a community that problem solves a reality for all 315,000 people who live here. And I need you, because success is unattainable without your hard work, without your support, and without your creativity. Answers should come from City Hall, but all of them don't have to. That we have subject matter experts or people who do the job every day, but you guys are smart, creative, tenacious, and resilient. And we also want to hear from you, and we need what you bring to the table to really complete the meal. Our vision for Stockton has to be built on a foundation of civic engagement, neighborhood leadership, and partnership. So working with the city council, other elected officials, and residents, I'm confident that we'll be able to make this city that raised me, a better place. And I have no delusions about the size of our challenges. I harbor no illusions about the size of our resources. But the people of Stockton made a choice in November for us to be bold and to move forward. And I know that with your help, we can be successful. The work ahead will be difficult, and success will sometimes seem out of our reach. But like the rose that grew from concrete, I know we will rise together and move our city forward. So the question is, what's the state of our city? And I submit to you, look to your left and look to your right. The state of our city is our individual current states, together, united, and strong. And as I prepare to close, Stockton, this nation is looking for a comeback story. This nation is looking for a national model. This nation is looking for a reason to have hope. And today I say, why not you? Why not us? Why not the 12th largest city in the state of California? Why not the 62nd largest city in the nation? Why not the city with the oldest Sikh temple in North America? Why not the city that births musicians and astronauts and innovators? The city with the port? Why not the jewel of the Central Valley? Why not the great city of Stockton, California? Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor, and rest assured that all present and those who will see the media coverage from today will look forward to a better and stronger Stockton as we all work as one. Thank you again for the Port of Stockton for making this possible. Please take some time to look at the sponsor booth and thank them for being such an important part of the community. Thank you and have a great afternoon.